Boys, welcome back to my YT channel. Go back to business. Okay, science lovers, pasok. And this is all about chemistry. Okay, but at this point in time, it's gonna be quantum chemistry, or it's gonna be related to quantum mechanics. Oh my gosh. Okay, for those who are studying now general chemistry lectures, okay, 1 and 2, a little bit of nuclear chemistry also, and I think there's no quantum chemistry, right? Quantum mechanics are parts of nuclear chemistry and chemistry as a whole, right? Okay, now, so this is very, very important. We need to discuss again, over and over again. Okay, so if we talk about this quantum mechanics, we go back to the basic foundation, which is the better understanding of the periodic table. Okay, so based on my research, I didn't know this before, when I was in my high school days, in elementary level, and in the college. Okay, I'm not really interested. Okay, because there's a lot of elements, 118 elements. 94 are naturally occurring elements, and the other is through artificial process, artificially prepared, something like that. Okay, so it's gonna be like that. But take note, guys, we have latest update for periodic table. Okay, so we have now additional of 1. I will teach you if somebody will discover an element. So it's gonna be like that. You will put another row. For now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 rows in the periodic table. But now, in 2018, one hypothetical chemical element was discovered. Something like that. And that is an organism, okay, organism talaga. Organism period, which is specifically the ununinium. Okay, ununinium with the abbreviation of capital U and small letter N. Check that out also, double check because this is the latest. Okay, so this is not yet reflected in the textbooks nowadays, but if you try to Google search or research any encyclopedia which is updated, okay, it will reflect there that we have 119 elements already. Okay, 119 elements. Okay, now if we discovered new element, we go back to the first column. You will put that there, and you need to establish or create another period or row, which is number 8, something like that. And the succeeding will follow column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, until column 18, as usual, but belongs in the same period or row, something like that. But for now, we will call that as an Ika function. So how can we say that is an eka? Okay. If we see eka, okay, the discovery is still on the development. Okay, so imagine there are a lot of intelligent people nowadays because we have the latest technology and advancement of different, modernization. Okay, and then we have the complete, data gathered by our previous scientists. So we are not really creating our own theories and principles, but we derive that or we gain that from our previous scientists before. So let's be thankful and grateful to them. But imagine, we did not yet discover another element. So what can you say about this generally? So it could mean all people are intelligent compared to the present people. Really? Because all people know technology, right? Then why they discovered elements after 1 year and they established principles and data gathered. But now we have a lot of technology. All we have to do is to develop, modify, enhance. Okay, but the basic foundation are coming from our previous scientists. We don't have originality, something like that, that we really made that theory and principle. We always pick that out from the previews. So we can say all people are intelligent or smart compared to the latest people because we have now everything, financial resources, like that, new technology. So, but before, nothing. They are just imagining something. Okay? But they created a lot of discoveries. Okay? Something. And imagine, this new element is underdeveloped yet. But preparation. If we have ECA, the word ECKA francium, you need to say this is the last francium, right? In the first column, you need to put ECA, you need to say underdeveloped is the element you try to discover. Okay? Underdeveloped meaning it has not been synthesized yet. Okay? So after that, there's already CAS for that. You know what is CAS? Chemical Abstract Standards, yung mga numbering according to the UPAC, right? International Union for Pure Applied Chemistry. So do you follow that rule, something like that? Then you put ECA, meaning to say it is not yet confirmed to be proven, tested, and validated to be correct. Okay, like that. It's still under synthesis, meaning wala pa good siya, but preparation lang. So, kining 118 elements are always like that. Because the first element discovered by Henry Cavendish, which is the lightest element in the universe, or in the planet Earth, is hydrogen. Okay? Mr. Henry Cavendish discovered that one. Okay? And after his discovery, because hydrogen has one charge, and this is the proton. Okay, the proton, right? Proton represents the atomic number. So, this discovered again by Ernest Rutherford for this proton. So don't be confused. Two. Ernest Rutherford discovered the proton, which is a positive one, but Sir Henry Cavendish discovered the hydrogen as an element. You get the point? Something like that. Before, only one. Then after that, we made also ECA, hydrogen. Okay? And then after that, we will prove that it's lithium next. Until such time, it will become 118. So it takes a longer time to do that. Okay? Imagine from 16th century until 18th century, diha pa nagsunod-sunod ang mga elements to be discovered. So who knows also, 2030, this ECA francium, which is a unonium element, hypothetical chemical element, will be now a certified and confirmed element. So we will remove now the word ECA. Okay? Because ECA means underdeveloped and to be synthesized yet. All elements will be synthesized first before to be confirmed and proven to be reflected in the periodic table. Okay? You get the point. That's it. And you should know that. Okay? Something like the science courses students or science professionals. Okay, like that. So for now, ECA francium, okay, have atomic number of 119, and this is the organesson period. Organesson. Okay? Specifically, the unonium element, hypothetical element. Okay? With atomic number of 119. So, in short, we have 119 elements now, starting from 2018. Because even if that is still under synthesis, it will be now accounted plus 1. Okay, because that is the rule. It doesn't mean that if it is not yet fully synthesized, it will not be added na. It will be added na talaga for the counting. Okay, because it will really go to an element in the future. Let's say after 2028, 2030, 2040, in which mamatay na ta. We will be dying or lost in this earth, and then this ECA fraction will become now really the certified element to be added na talaga without the word ECA, and not already a hypothetical chemical element, but a confirmed and certified element added na talaga siya. But we don't know when. Okay? Like that. You got the point. Something that's in 2018. So 4 years ago, it was discovered. Okay? Based on my research. Okay. That was the latest trivia of the periodic table. Okay, guys? Now, we need to understand the rows, and the columns. Okay, when you mean of a column, that is mean group. Okay, group, or shall we say a family, something like that. Okay, that would represent the number of valence electrons in the outermost shell. Okay, like that, in the outermost shell. So basing on the electronic configuration. Ganon. And then the period here, okay, is the raw. Okay, so there's also relevance for that because it have an increasing atomic number, like that. But take note, if it has an increasing atomic number, the atomic radius will decrease. Okay, so for example, if I have here, oh my gosh, if I have here lithium radius is less than the radius of boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon because it's in the left. Okay, left to right, it has a decreasing, atomic radius, but the atomic number is increasing. So therefore, we conclude that atomic number is inversely proportional to the atomic radius. As the atomic number will increase from left to right, then the atomic radius will be decreasing. Something like that, okay? You get the point? It's decreasing. Increasing ang atomic radius. Okay? So atomic number AN is inversely proportional to the atomic RAR. Okay? So from left to right, increasing atomic number, decreasing atomic radius. Okay? Like that. Now what will happen to the atomic radius in the column? Okay? Like that. As you can see also column by column, the atomic number is increasing. So normally, we decrease po na yung atomic radius because they are inversely proportional, even though they are in the column group. Okay? Something like that. Because of this principle. Okay? Get the point? Tingnan mo. Group 2A, beryllium, atomic number beryllium 4, atomic number of magnesium 12. 20, 38, 56, so increasing atomic number. So therefore, we conclude the atomic radius will also decrease. Now, in the board examination, it will be like this. In the 2A column or per group, which among them has a lesser atomic radius? So you don't have to compute that because that is a theory. Okay, you will get the periodic table because you can open your Purist Chemical Engineer's Handbook during the examination. It's in there, everything. And then, sad to say, there's no relation with atomic radius here. It's not reflected. Only the atomic numbers are reflected. So you need to learn the field behind that, the relationship of atomic number and atomic radius. Okay. Now, the rows, guys, we need to determine that there are a lot of properties there. Okay? And you have also to memorize that because in the examination in the future, it will also come out. Okay? For example, from left to right, okay, ganon. So what will happen to your ionization potential? Okay? Ionization potential, ionization energy, okay, like that. Potential, okay. Affinity, electron affinity, okay, like that. And electronegativity. What will happen for the relationship? Okay, like this. You have to know this, because in the examination, the picture it will say, which of the following has a highest ionization potential? A. Beryllium, B. Vanadium, C. Chromium, D. Manganese, F. Iron. Actually, you can see this in the review, okay, but not also are also discussed, okay, like that in the reviewing center. And then you can best explore this by your own talaga siya. Okay? Not really depending to the reviewing centers or classroom instructions, sariling sikap. Okay? Like that. Okay? You don't have to be dependent to anybody else to learn more. Okay? So electronic affinity and electronegativity. Okay? So have that an attitude and a culture, if you try to take up mga difficult courses. You don't have to depend all the time to your mentors, instructors, like that, or whatever. You should expand your knowledge by your own self. Okay? Like explore more, something like that. Okay? Electronegativity. So if you have that attitude and culture, you will 80% up, you will pass. Okay? Electronegativity. Okay? Like that. And then, mo na siya guys, no? So, inti man ani, ini kayo na is very easy. Okay, because it's inversely proportional to the atomic radius. Okay? Atomic radius. Meaning to say, atomic radius, nakita niyo guys, is inversely proportional to ionization energy, ionization potential, electric affinity, negativity. So meaning to say, if one of them will increase, this four also will increase, but atomic radius will decrease. So it's very easy to memorize, right? And that is from left to right. Okay, now, if the question will rumble a column, not part there. So consider also the other properties. How you will know that? Okay, so we have the atomic number and the mass number. And then the molecular weight na joule. Okay, so imo siyang common sense. Okay, the more it has a higher molecular weight, what is the relation to the mass number? Like that, ganun ka. Oh, okay, I will compute for the charge so that I can get the electrons. Oh, because the electrons are the basis of electronegativity. And the rest will follow na. Oh, ionization potential, ionization energy, and so on. Electrons. So electrons is equal to the charge. Okay? Like that, sorry, atomic number minus the charge. If there's an atomic number and there is a charge, because there's a charge, everybody has the charge here, right? Then bingo, you can get the electrons. And the more it has the higher electrons, the more it is electronegative. Okay? From the word itself. Okay? Just like the halogen group, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine, we don't need electrons anymore. But they will share two metals, to those electropositive metals. The terms really speak, right? Electropositive meaning they need electrons. Electrons also need positive. Okay, like that. You get the point? It's very clear ha. Okay, so makamao na tayo ng higayuna. Then, in this periodic table also guys, we have 15 scientists. 15 scientists derived from these elements. Okay? You don't have to memorize because it's very understandable if the symbol will be there. For example, FR, francium, discovered by Mr. Francis blah blah blah. But there are 15 there. And I like the Mendelevium. Wow. So Mendelevium. Now, Mendelevium, I love this element because jowa niya sa una. Char! Okay, Mendelevium. Okay, so this is N, right? Mendelevium. Okay? The atomic number is 101. Akong di-memorize. Okay, Mendelevium, so MD. Atomic number 101. Ganon. So Mendelevium is derived by the scientist Dmitri Mendeleev. Okay, when we speak about periodic table, Dmitri Mendeleev has a great contribution because he is the scientist who discovered the listing of the elements according to its chemical and physical properties. Meaning to say, he is the architect of the periodic table. If the question was here like this, who is the architect of the periodic table? A. Antoine Lavoisier. B. Isaac Newton. C. Charles Darwin. Dapat ko siya sabi, Dmitri Mendeleev. Okay, ganon. So, E. John Dalton. Your answer will be Dmitri Mendeleev. Okay? So, siya din sa periodic table, ha? The arrangement, chuba-chucho, and everything. Okay, ganon. Now, we go now to this problem, number 1. Okay, question number 1. So, we need to do this calculations by means of different options and strategies how to solve this. So we should not depend by one method of doing this. Okay, so how many orbitals in the principal quantum number energy level of 4? Ganon. Orbitals. Okay, what do you mean by orbital? Orbital, it is a region where the two electrons occupy will have opposite spin. Okay, so it says there in the Pauli exclusion principle that there are always two electrons maximum will occupy to each orbital, but it will be completely filled up first from one orbital to the last orbital before going back. Okay, you get the point. These two electrons will not fill immediately there in the one orbital. It will go first to the electrons and then go back. And you will note the electronic configuration. Okay, ganon. Okay, so how can we say this? And now we draw the off-bow principle. Off-bow principle sketch. Charot. Okay, so saan naman sa si off-bow principle? Okay, si off-bow principle tells that, a scientist tells that, if you feel an electrons to a sub-level or subshell, it will start first in the lowest energy level. Of course, when we draw the off-bow, it will go first for the n is equals to 1, n is equals to 2, n is equals to 3, because n represents the energy level. Okay, I'll draw now. Okay, so this one, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, ganon, 7s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are called principal quantum numbers. Okay? Or energy levels. Ganon. Or levels lang siya. Or shells. Shells. S-H-E-L-L-S. That's the reason. Outermost shell. So this is the shell. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you say shell or outermost shell, it's also energy level. Okay? Like that, we mean principal quantum number. Okay? The N. Okay? Now, the S here is the subshell or the sublevel. Okay? This is the secondary quantum number, and it contains an orbital. Okay? So this is not the orbital, but this is a subshell. But if each subshell and sublevel has its own number of orbitals, in order for the electrons to fill up, something like that, to establish the electronic configuration. So we have two, tanawa guys, 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, 5. Take note the pattern. Okay, like that, chuba-chu-chu. Ganon. Okay. So, this is gonna be 2p, ganon, 3p, okay, 4p, 5p, ganon, diba? 6p, and 7d, ganon. O, 7p pa. Take note, paliw din siya mga SS, chuba-chuchu, ha? Paliw siyang sub-level na S, S all, ganon. P, what will increase the energy level only? Okay? Like that. And then D, that is SPDF. SPDF sub-levels or sub-energy levels. Okay? So we have P next. So 2P, 3P, 4P, 5P, 6P, 7P. And D. So we have 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D. Okay? Now we go to the F. So 4F, 5F, 6F, 7F. Ganon. Now, SPDF, take note the relationship here. We can introduce another sublevels also after F. But it is not yet discovered. You got the point? The discovery of the board. Oh my gosh. The discovery.
Device is ready to pair.
The discovery of Mr. Off-bow principle is until F only, SPDF. There's no G, H, I, G, K. So maybe we don't know after 2025, 2030, in the next century, another also sub-level will be discovered by Sotero, like that, will be discovered by Angeline Quinto or whatever. Okay? Because we stop here from F, sub-levels pa naman talaga siya. Okay? So the discovery has been stopped. There's no curious and brave scientist to go beyond F to discover. Okay? So, because it will expand up to here if you try to continue the schematic drawing. Okay? See, I did not fill this 5, 6, 7 because there's no more. So I have to erase. Okay, ganon. Now I love Mendeleev. Okay, nakakaloka si Mendeleev. Okay, like that. You got the point? So, muna siya. Alam na si Mendeleev, guys, kaya taas ka siya. 101 atomic number, mabuang kang kunkuan. S2, gano'n. Di ba, nakaloka? Okay, ano yung mga gagmay? Anyway, we go to the lower number of electrons in the outermost. Okay, because guys, it's same principle. Whether big, whether high, whether low, it's still the same principle will be followed. Something like that. So you have to establish like this. Tararat, tararat, Primero, column down, horizontal, diagonal. Take note my hand, the movement of my hand. Tararat, ganon. Tararat, ganon. Tararat, ganon. Tararat, ganon. Tararat, ganon. Di ba? You get the point? Tararat, ganon. Okay? Tararat, ganon. Oh. Tararat, ganon. Tararat, ganon. Tararat, ganon. Okay, di ba? Tararat, ganon. Tararat, ganon. Tararat, ganon. Okay? Get the point? Oh, di ba? Oh. You get the point? So, ano siya? Mag-diagonal ka. Muna na yung ikuan, guys. I-series na yung siya ang na. So, we have, for example, I have to choose which is my favorite element. I think I love oxygen. Charot! Okay. I love oxygen, carbon, and ano sa mga akong gusto? Char! Ano lang? Phosphorus. Char! Phosphorus dyan because of the bone. Okay? Enough level of phosphorus, we have a stronger bone. The same as calcium. Okay? For the bone. You know? Calcium and phosphorus absorption together with the function of vitamin D inside our body. Okay? So that's why I love phosphorus. Okay? And the sun has a level of phosphorus also. During the photosynthesis, it will be distributed to the plants and then we can produce carbohydrates. Energy-giving food. So magpasalamat kami phosphorus. Because if no phosphorus, the photosynthesis will not be activated. Okay? Ganon. So I love phosphorus, oxygen, carbon. Ganon. So I would rather choose ano lang siya. Phosphorus kay 15 lang siya. Okay? Phosphorus, 15. O, ganon. Atomic number is 15. So we will base always in the atomic number ha. Sa electron configuration. Not the mass number, not the protons, ganon, not the molecular weight. Okay, now, we have 15 here as our atomic number. Okay? Like that. Don't use proton because it will deviate the theory. Because we said in general chemistry lecture 1 that atomic number will represent the number of protons. But in here, we are dealing with electrons. But that is our basis in our electronic configuration. There's not matching also sometimes, but anyhow, okay, it depends on how the topic really is progressing. Okay, so 15. And now, in S, guys, it will contain 2 electrons, maximum in the subshell, S. Okay, and in the P, it will have 6 electrons. Okay, and in the D, we have 10. Okay, 10 electrons. And then in the F, we have 14 electrons. Okay, these electrons here, guys, would represent the superscript. In every time, say 1s2, 2p6, ganon. Superscript siya. Okay, dito sa taas, mag-exponent, punuhay ba? Okay, so if you have 15 like this, so we will say, follow the arrow, 1s, 2 electrons in the S subshell, ganon. Okay, 2s, again, 2. All S have 2 electrons it can occupy. Okay, so after that, look at the arrow. Okay, 1s, 2s. Tanawa gawin nyo guys, 1s. Okay, alita mo ba sa pinagdiri ali? Alita masango ha. Okay, and then 2p. Tanawa niyo ang mga kuan diagonal sa padulong, the direction. 3s. Okay, after 3s, magdali siya sa 3p. Ganon. So p is 6. Oh, 6. S is 2, P is 6 in tahay. But we have 15 man, so add all the electrons in the superscript or in the outermost shell, subshell. Because this is subshell, right? Okay, so 2 plus 2, 4, 6 plus 10, 12. So we need to eliminate the 6. So 12 plus 3, so that it will become 15, the atomic number of the phosphorus. So we have now 3 lang siya, kuhaan na to. 4, 8 plus 3. So 3 na lang siya, ari-ari. So the basis will be your last. Okay, the last orbitals will be your last bases. Okay, this one. Oh, ganon. Okay, so mga naanak ka, hala, 3 electrons in the outermost shell. So these electrons in the outermost shell, so superscript, these are the electrons that you will be able to feel the orbital. Okay? Now, how can we do that? So before going to that, we should also determine how many orbitals in the S subshell. How many orbitals in the P subshell, how many orbitals in the D subshell, and how many orbitals in the F subshell. So it's very clear that the number of orbitals is not the same as the number of electrons. Okay, that's very clear. Okay, so how can we compute for the number of orbitals? Based on my research, okay, because I did not learn this in my college days, only in my research. Okay, because natuog siguro ko. I was sleeping during the discussion of my instructors or whatever, chuba-chuchu. Okay? Something like that. So, this gonna be like this. So, S, P, D, F. Ganon. Okay. 2, 6, and we have also 10, 14. Oh, ganon. Okay. How many orbitals here? Okay naman siya. Wala kakabaw. Anon. Let's say X, anon in algebra. X, 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 X. Okay? But you have the azimuthal quantum number. What is the azimuthal quantum number? Azimuthal quantum number, guys, you need to build up a strong foundation of memorization. Okay, just like a doctor in medicine or medicine students or a lawyer students. Too much memorization. If the lawyers are fond of memorizing articles, Republic Act, like that, or House Bills, blah blah blah, number 1, number 2, or resolution number blah blah blah, blah. Chemical engineers also have too much like that also, but not laws, but a lot of processes, like that, chemicals, like that, everything, chemical reactions, like that. And then the doctors also, and then a lot of, they will also memorize the chemical substances because they are dealing with patient. Okay, if the substances, they don't know about substances, the people will die, right? So how can they diagnose if they don't know what are the particular food needed? And most of the food composed of chemicals. Okay, CHO. So it's expected that their chemistry is very strong also. These health professionals or the doctors. Kita point? Kaya mungangaman po sila. What is the composition of the blood? You cannot get the composition of the blood. What is the composition of the nucleic acid? Ganon. What are the composition of the fats? Okay? So, in order for them to diagnose very well, they should know also the ingredients and the reactions inside the body of these different macromolecules or micromolecule substances, biological and chemical substances, biochemicals. Okay, like that. So, they have to study that also. So, they are focusing in the biochemistry, and the clinical chemistry. Chemical engineers are not really focusing that, but we have also, adequate knowledge of various chemicals, something like that. Whether it is external or internal. Okay, now going back for this. Okay, natasya na ako siya. Okay, we have to determine the L. Kasama yung azimuthal. Nakakalokan yung azimuthal. So the azimuthal quantum number, guys, this is really important for an atomic orbital because this can determine the angular orbital momentum. Okay? Angular momentum. So Sotero, why you put angular? Because it has to do something with angle of inclination. Okay, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, and it will rotate. The orbital will rotate. Like, ganon. So there is a corresponding angle of inclination. So this azimuthal quantum number, very important. Because it determines the orbital angular momentum. Diba? You remember in physics, we have angular momentum, and we have also the formula of momentum. Momentum is mass times velocity. And if you try to link that with the angle of inclination in the algebra aspects, in the algebra, how to compute the pi radian, diba? Pi over 180 degrees. If you try to link that to the mass times velocity in the momentum, then you can derive the angular momentum. So you have to mix algebra, okay, with the physics. that states momentum is equals to the mass times the velocity. So in that, we know the mass and the velocity of an orbital. At the same time, the angle of inclination with that orbital. That is not our topic here. We only touch. Okay? That's why we will never derive that. Okay? Get the point? So, ano siya, may tabukang bigay na. And not only that also, it will determine the shape of an orbital. Okay, shape. So, this S, P, D, and F has its own shape. And it will rotate and like move like that, counterclockwise, blah, 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 in a 3D manner. 3D, meaning Z axis, Y axis, and X axis. It's not plainly X and Y lang good siya. Instead, X axis, Y axis, Z axis meaning 3D rotation, such like an animation effects in the computer or cartoon show. Something like that. It's animation driven by 3D rotation. Not only X and Y, ha? Okay, most of siya ang mga SPDF. Okay? Ang rotation niya is 3D. 3 axis. X axis, Y axis, and Z axis. The Z axis, let's say it's a diagonal, and then the vertical is the Y axis, and the horizontal is the X axis. Then it will rotate. As it rotates, so mo-assume po ng Y-axis na mo siyang Z-axis. Kaya rotate man siya. Okay? So, that's the point. I-rotate niya, and then it will overlap, gano'n, mag-forma siya laing shape. Okay? Azimuthal quantum number, mag-determine siya sa shape. Okay? Ano na siya dali? L. Okay? Now, guys, ang L, guys, ang siya kung tingin ninyo, no? With the assumption here, the shape will not yet move. That's why it's 0. Ang shape ay ang L. Ganon, 0. And then, it goes to higher in the P subshell, the L will become 1. So it will now rotate to another shape also. Like that, for example, like this. Gawin mo kayong whiteboard, ito ko maka-explain further. Chart. Charis. Okay, for example, if you have P, so that means it could move na a little bit. Kailangan siya 1 azimuthal quantum number. So, anak forma niya, guys. Oh, ganan. This will be like the fan of the electric fan. Tama ba makasuti ko? Di ba fan, F-E-N, and then electric fan. The fan, the shape of an orbital is also like that. Okay, we call that in chemistry as a lobe, L-O-B-E. Like that, okay? So like this, like a fan of an electric fan. Okay? So this is only landed in the y-axis, something like that. Okay? It will rotate only one time, something like that, because 1 man yung L. Okay? And it go to the D, like that, the L will become 2. So it will rotate also another 2 rotation. And it will add another lobe. Ganon. So 4 na yung lobe. Ganon. Shape, mo na yung shape. Until D, until F, ganun siya chuchu. Okay? And we don't have to explain in detail because that is not our, focus of concentration. Okay? L is equals to enough na theory. That's why I told you to memorize. Okay? Because this can memorize talaga siya. Of course, you have to understand. Okay? So, L, 0, 1, 2, 3. Ano siya? Now, based on my research, na ako nakaplagan, okay, so ang azimuthal quantum number, ang L, is equal to, siya? Makuha din mo ang orbital in essential. So, orbital, gano'n. Orbital is equal to 2 times the azimuthal quantum number plus 1. Now, we go to the subshell. We need to determine the orbital. It's in S. Okay? Some books stating that S orbital, but actually it's not the subshell is the orbital. We need to say the subshell contains an orbital. That is not really the orbital we mean. Actually, you get the point. We need to say S subshell has its own orbital, but it doesn't mean that that is an S orbital. Okay, gipuno na siya ba? Okay, like that. Okay, S orbital. That's why it's not telling the shape, ha? Okay, azimuthal ba yan ito sa shape? Okay, dili ba yan kung subshell? Okay, so S orbital. Ganon. So 2, in the S, guys, we have 0. 0 ang iyang kuhan azimuthal. So 2 times 0 plus 1 is equals to 0 plus 1. So our S have only one orbital. So ano definition din? So S is equals to 1 orbital. Ganon. Very important because the electrons, anto siya mo tungtong. And we should understand the orbital because this is the place or region in which the electrons will occupy. So if there's no orbital, these electrons will not occupy, so we don't have electronic configuration. Something like that. You got the point? Okay, now, we have p orbital. Okay? So better siya guys, in the mechanics, okay, mechanismo sa Tagalog pa, in the strategy in the mechanics, you don't have to memorize, you have to analyze. Okay, but for the terms, technicalities, gano'n, you have to memorize. Okay, because if you will just memorize, it will vanish in your brain cells after 6 months, after 8 months, after 1 year. But then if you understand and analyze, then it will accumulate into your brain cells until your last breath. You get the point? For example, you memorize the conversion factors of how many yards in 1 feet. Okay, ganon. Pila man. So 1 yard is equals to 3 feet. Ganon. Let's say, if your memory fails, then use also the conversion from feet to meters. Ganon. Diba? Ang saya-saya special. Okay, and that's such time mo rin siya sa Sotero, 1 yard is equals to 3 feet. Ganon. 1 feet is equals to 0.3048 meters. And 1 meter is equals to 3 feet. Ganon. Get the point? So, in that conversion, you play around. If you inserted that in your brain cells, even though 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, you can still remember the conversion factors. Get the point? Okay, that's what I did talaga siya. When I was in high school, in grade school, and college education, it was stuck in my brain cells. And it's really an advantage to have that, okay? Acquire knowledge and stock knowledge. Okay, now if we have because this also discussed in chemistry high school, really, this topic, and then again it will be discussed again in college, then you should expect it to be mastered to that. That is provided that we love science, but if we don't love science, you don't care at all, right? It depends on the individuality of a person or individuals. Okay, now we have L is equals 2. Okay, as in pala na siya, no? 2. Again, substitute. 2 times 2 is equals to 1. This is 4, so 5. 5 ang iyang d orbital. Ganon. 3 ang iyang p orbitals. Okay, sa p 3 orbitals, and sa f na siya 7 orbitals. And then if you can forget, just try to consider the, what do you call this one? The sequence. These are all odd numbers in algebra. Okay, this is also a part of your memorization, so that it can really accumulate in your brain cells. You also to discover, these are all odd numbers. Ganon. So mag-start siya sa 1. It's very easy to memorize, right? So 1, 3, 5, 7, because odd numbers, not even numbers. Get the point? And then S, P, D, F. Bingo. Pasok sa banga. And then we have the 1 orbital, 3 orbitals. Babasahin na lang kayo siya, guys. Okay? Now, papasok din ako siya. Charot. So we have now the 3p3 in case of the phosphorus. And last na itong paano, di ba? Okay. 3p3. 3p3. Now, you will describe this 3p3. You know this 3p3 is the last configuration. Okay, what do you mean by configuration? Arrangement of electrons in a particular order or distribution of electrons in an atom of the molecule of a particular element being considered. Something like that. Now, if we have P here, so we have to say, oh my gosh, it's P. So meaning the orbitals are 3. So 3 orbitals. Okay, describe so that you can get the proper way of understanding. So 3 orbitals. Okay. Now 3 is in the energy level 3. Because as I told you, it will describe the number of energy levels sa numerical figure. Okay, so N is equals to 3. Okay, ganun. So 3, ang electrons will occupy. Because it's superscript. So 3 electrons. Okay, 3 electrons will occupy. Okay. Di ba nakakaloka nag-study of electrons na hindi na ito makita? Right? Okay, this is chemical in general about. Okay, so 3 electrons with, okay, gano'n siya chupa-chucho. Okay, gano'n. 3 electrons siya in the outermost shell or in the superscript of the last electronic configuration. Gano'n. Okay, now, since we have 3 orbitals, draw na. Drawing yung tani, mura tagbata. Okay? At the same time, we learn. Okay, so 1 orbital, let's say assume square. 1 orbital, 2 orbital, 3 orbital. Okay, now, dili mo ipasok ang imong 3 electrons. But be sure, 1 by 1 putting of 1 electron. And then the second, what do you call this one? Ikabalik. Bisaya. It will become 2 na siya. Ganon. So 3. So, the first direction, or what do you call this one? Magnitude. Magnitude ba na siya, guys? Magnitude and direction, right? If we say a vector quantity. So meaning to say an electron is a vector quantity. It has the magnitude and it has also a direction. The magnitude is 3 and the direction is could either be top, down, top, down, top, down. It's not side by side, it's the movement of electrons. Unless you will put that in the, orientation. Okay, the one I told you in the, azimuthal, something like that. Okay, so 3. Ganon. So, up. Tararat. 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 Ganon. So, 1 electron, 2 electrons, 3 electrons. So, dili siya kabalik. Guys, dili siya kabalik because na-complete ang iyang orbital. Meaning to say, Y negative. No negative electrons. Ang yang spin. Ang yang spin ha, wako nag-mean sa iyang magnitude, ang yang spin. Okay? You got the point? Because there's there's positive also electrons, sorry. Namatay positron, di ba? Positive electrons. Okay, sorry. Okay. Mo siguro na ang reason guys na there's a positive electron. Based lang sa akong research ha, ako rin tukma. Mo siguro na ang reason na naay positron, positive electron because the spin of an electron has downward and upward. Na mo negative ang electrons, nasa siya positive. Base ani, di ba? So it's a wrong concept to say that electron is always negative. So nasa siya positive. Okay, that is positron. Okay, like this. Okay, now there's no downward. Okay, now guys, ang spin duha ra jud. Positive 1/2 and negative 1/2. Okay, just memorize, very easy to memorize, guys. Ang magnetic quantum number spin or spin quantum number. So this is denoted with ms. O memorize na yun. M stands for magnetic, S stands for spin. That's why S is the subscript of letter M. Both are small. So I will say ms. Okay, the ms is always positive 1/2, meaning going up, and negative 1/2 going down. Okay? Now, in this case, you will be where you stop in putting the electron. Now, I stop here in the 3rd orbital. It's going up. So, my ms, or my magnetic spin, is equals to positive 1/2. O, ganon. Now, what is your azimuthal? I have the azimuthal because it is 3, right? Klaro kayo siya. You got the point? Klaro kayo siya. Now, unsaon yung pag-determine sa imong ML? O, diba? ML. So, what is now an ML? Dahil na po siya. This is called magnetic quantum number. This is not a spin. So, magnetic quantum number, ML. So, ang imong magnetic quantum number, because you stop in the last orbital, okay? So, you will say that like this. I will explain to you. Okay, since we have azimuthal of for the S, P, D, F, and we have P here, right? So 1. Okay, positive 1 ang imong L. So ang imong ML is dependent on the azimuthal. Why? Because azimuthal is the shape. Okay? And the angular orbital momentum. So magdepend siya. Okay, so 1 ang imong P. Ganon, 1 orbital. Ganon. So, you will say from positive 1 to negative 1. And then the 0 will be center. Okay, this is the theory, ha? Okay, so 0 center, positive 1 on the right, negative 1 on the left. So count the orbital. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 orbitals in the p subshell. Ganon. Now, you stop on the last orbital, in the third orbital, and this is positive 1. So this is your ML. Magnetic quantum number is positive 1. Okay, like that. So be careful because in the examination in the future, it will just ask, what is the MS? What is the ML? What is the L? It will never say the whole words. Especially if you are basic chemistry students or whatever, or chemical engineering students, no need to specify the word itself because it's understood that the students know the equivalent term. So like that. So for example, this one. What is the N, the MS, the L, the MS of the phosphorus? Okay? So ikaw na magbutang-butang dito. And then start with the electronic configuration by using this one. Okay? Ganon. You get the point? Okay? So that's very clear. Now, if that is too high, follow also the sequence. Like this. Basta, you are basing the atomic number. Okay ha? Atomic number, atomic number, atomic number. Okay? Sa electronic configuration. Because we don't have protonic configuration. We don't have also neutronic configuration. The term really is electronic configuration, meaning electron. Okay, so there's no such like that in chemistry. Always electronic configuration. Okay, because we don't say how many number of neutrons in the outermost shell. It's not like that. It's a wrong grammar, wrong chemistry grammar. So you get the point. So meaning to say the grammar is not applicable in English, also in the science. So wrong chemistry grammar because it doesn't exist. Something like that. Okay, you get the point. And that's very, very clear. Now, we go back to the question. We haven't yet answered because I explained very well so that we can answer this very well also, right? So, N is equals to 4. So, energy level is equals to 4. In this off-bow principle illustration, it's only here. 4, 4, 4, 4. Now, some students, including me before, maglibog ko. Ako rin siyang i-add ang 4 plus 4, 8, 8 plus 4, 12, plus 4, 16. Ang answer ay how many orbitals, but it's not like that. Nagkataon lang na siya. Okay, because the 4 is energy level. It's not the orbital. So it's a wrong concept. Okay? Kaya mo, kung ano siya, mo pasok sa banga. Okay? Dito tapuhin mo, pariho ang answer ba? So, nagkataon na gina siya, guys. It's not really the energy level that you're going to add. It's the orbitals. Because how many orbitals? I'm not saying, the question is not saying how many energy level. In fact, the energy level is given already as 4. Okay? So, you don't have to do that in your concept. It should be the orbitals to be added. Okay, I go now here in the 1s. Ganon. Kaloka. So, count. How many 1s? Di ba 1 lang siya? You get the point? Oh, 1. Ganon. So, 1, ganon. And then, in this 2p, how many? So, 2. O, ganon. Okay? Here, 1, 2, 3. Oh, 3. Okay, ganon. Here, 4. 4. O, ganon. Here, until such that it will follows also. I-follow lang ninyo ang sequence, ganun-ganun chuba-chuba. Okay? Now, since this is only one appearance of 1s, in math algebra again, if there is only one time, you will multiply yourself by your own, which is Sotero, raised to the power 1. O, ganon. So, I will become 1. Something like that, di ba, in algebra? So, this is also, okay, 1, okay, raised to the power 2 is equal to 1. Okay, now si 2 po, okay, raised to the power 2, why? Because there's 1, 2. Oh, ganon siya. So this is 2 raised to the power 2 is equals to 4. Ganon. Okay, and 1, 2, 3. I-counter niyo mga orbitals chuba-chucho. 1, 2, 3. O, 3 that's na diri. 3. Oh. Raised to the power 2. Ganon. So it is 9. Ganon. Okay? And 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is to the power 2 is equals to 16. So your answer will be 16. 16, okay, 16 orbitals. Okay, like that. This is your first strategy and method in getting the answer. Option 1. Ganon. So let's go to the option 2. You got the point? Option 2. The option 2 will be, go back to option 1 because you see, all of them are raised to the power 2. Right? And then this 1, 2, 3, 4 is the energy level. Okay, so you can see also, n squared, n raised to the power 2 is equal to the total number of orbitals. Right? In each energy level, something like that. In each energy level, of course. Since we are in the fourth energy level, so 4. So 4, n is equal to 4 raised to the power 2. So the orbitals in the energy level 4 raised to the power 2, 16. This is our second method of solving. By memorizing only, n squared is equals to orbitals. Okay, second method. Number 3 method, how can we do this? Third method, you will say like this, 4s, 4p, 4d, 5f. Since you know already the orbitals of each subshell, s, 3, p, say 1s, nakalimut ko. So p, 3, d, 5, f7. Add also this. Add the orbitals in each subshell. So 4 plus 5, 9, and 7, 16. This is the option 3. So we have now another method how to solve this question. Okay, but you will choose only the convenience for you to understand. I am only explaining that there are possibilities how to solve it or how to determine it. So this is option number 3. Okay, and now we have also option number 4, in which I love it. I really made my own. As an engineer, I made my own formula through the research. Okay, it's not in the book. Okay, because in the book, it's not being equated to something. I just coupled the algebra and then the chemistry and then bingo. As long as it has the same properties and quantities, you can do the ratio and proportion. Okay? Like that. It's not explained in the book, but sige lang. Okay, like this. By my own language siya. Through linkage of this theories and principles. That's why I told you it's always like that, huh? Okay, maximize your learning. Okay, now we have the theory of this that the maximum number of electrons in each energy level will be equal to 2n squared. Okay, lahat siya sa orbital. Yung orbital n squared man siya. N squared is equals to the number of orbital in each energy level. But I'm telling you, maximum number of electrons that this energy level, small letter n, can occupy. So the formula for that is 2n squared. More na siya gibutan dito sa mga libro chuba-chucho. But I have to equate that to something so that I can solve this. Okay? So I will say 2n squared is equal to the maximum number of electrons. Okay, like that. Okay? Now, we are considering the n is equals to 4 because we are in the 4th energy level. So you have to put n as 4. Substitute. 2 times 4 raised to the power 2 is equals to the maximum number of electrons. 4 times 4, okay, 16. 16 times 2, 32 electrons. But take note, this is electrons yet, not an orbital. This is not the answer. Right? Now, I go to the basic requirement in our theory here also. Okay, you got the point. That each orbital, we need to say one orbital. Because each, English. Okay? Each, E-A-C-S. That's why you should be good also in English. Okay? Each orbital, or every orbital, okay, contains, okay, one orbital. Okay, ganon. One orbital contains 2 electrons. Because in the Fourier explosion principle, each orbital will only occupy 2 electrons. Right? That's correct. Okay. Now we will use this concept to equate in the ratio and proportion with this 2n squared is equal to maximum electrons. I created my own formula in this case. Okay? Because I don't have another choice. Because I want so many options talaga siya. Because at first talaga guys, to be honest with you, I don't go directly with this other three options. I go with my own. This 2n squared maximum electrons. Because I don't know yet that 1 orbital is equal to n squared. When I research, nakasali siya ang formula. Because kaya siya 2n squared, doon naman ako nakakunan when I was in college. This 2n squared is equal to maximum electrons. But I don't know the ratio and proportion with respect to the orbital relationship. Okay? Muna siya kung giuna before this one option 2 or option 3. Now, I said to myself, what about using ratio and proportion? Okay? Like this. Because ratio and proportion, guys, are always used in algebra. You know the point? In algebra. As long as it has the same quantities and properties, then bingo, you can do it. Okay, point 1, point 2, equate mo siya. Okay? It's not the same with interpolation because interpolation is another thing. 2 references, and then you get the what is being unknown. Double interpolation, triple interpolation, that's another thing. That is more on engineering calculation. But ratio and proportion starts with the basic math. Okay, RMP. So usually the topic of interest in algebra will be applied for this. You know, interest, principal, interest rate times time. Nagularo na mga problem solving, di ba? Sa math. Diha mo makita ang mga ratio and proportion. How many discount that Lisa buy after a discount of 20%? Let X is equal to blah 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 chuchu. Okay, diha ma-appear ang usually ang mga ratio and proportion topics sa algebra. If you can remember, right? Like that. Balik ko sa akong brain cells. But okay, if I have here, like that. So, maximum electrons, ako na anaw na siya, no? So, I have electrons here, okay? And the other orbital. So, meaning to say, I have the two quantities here only. The orbital and the electron. Okay? Because if you have another quantity, you cannot do the ratio and proportion. You get the point? Okay, just like a dilution in the chemistry principles of the expression of the concentration or the solubility of any aqueous mixtures or solutions, right? In 1v1 into v2, in 1v1 into v2. Mga siya kapalihan man namin molarity sa initial, na po yung molarity and volume sa final. Oras na siya ang i-apply na ari. Okay, even though the box doesn't specify. Okay, ganon. So I have to say this one. So electrons and orbital. Okay. Now, I will consider the maximum chuba-chuchu. Maximum electrons, 32 electrons. Okay. Now, in these 32 electrons that the energy level of 4 can occupy, I still don't know how many orbitals maximum. Right? So, I have to put X. X meaning a known number of electrons that these 32 electrons can occupy because I don't know. That's why X, actually in algebra like that, let X, let Y as a known quantity. I apply that here, okay? Now, we have 2 electrons in Pauli exclusion principle that can occupy in each orbital. So, need to say, 2 electrons is equals to 1. Because 1 orbital can occupy, so this is 1. 1 orbital, because this is a column of orbital. Now, ratio and proportion, okay? 32 electrons is equal to X. Okay, 2 electrons is equal to 1. You can solve for the value of X using crisscross multiplication in algebra in math. So we can say 32 times 1 is equal to 2x. X is equal to 32 divided to 16. 16 also is the orbitals. The same in my option 1, option 2, option 3. You get the point? So we have 4 options how to solve that kind of question in the future. For example, in the board examination, or in a science quiz fair, or whatever questions you will be encountered in science. So like I said, how many orbitals in energy level 5? The same concept will be used, the 4 options. Now, it depends on you what your convenience and comfort to use. But it's better also that you have, a lot of possibilities. Okay, because sometimes you forgot, I still have another possibilities, ganon. Okay, so ano siyang atong gamiton in this kind of question. So, yung technique is how many orbitals? Okay, like that. Okay, so meaning more than 1 because orbitals plural. We'll never answer 1. You got the point? Wala siya. Okay, because in the Fisher equation, how many number of orbitals in energy level of 7? Ganon, di ba? So nakakaloka na siya. So, how many mo nahigay na? 1 is like 2 times 7 raised to the power 2. Yan na siya value. Kung marami po nyo gamiton, okay nga, kung ato siya sa D, klaro kaayo siya. There are 2 electrons mo occupy dito. Pila man ang D? Pila man kapwa orbital mo occupy sa D? 10. Ganun siya. If the last electronic configuration na siya D, for example, 3D6 sa imong electronic configuration, for example, sa rubidium, example, hypothetical lang siya. Di sa imong gamitong orbitals during the ratio and proportion. It's not always equal to one what I mentioned earlier because that is S orbital. You get the point? Kinaman siya 1 and 2. Sa P orbital, kinaman P man dito ang last na 3P6. P, ang P naman siya 1 orbital. Mo tingin ko nga 2 electrons is equals to 1 orbital. Mag-change man na siya kung asa ang last nga electronic configuration, kung D ba siya, S ba siya, F ba siya, kailangan ka equivalent orbital chuba chucho. Meaning to say, your ratio and proportion will vary all the time. But the concept is still the same. That's why you should not memorize all the time. Just analyze how it is being, interpreted, how it's being structurized, something like that, so that we can understand. Memorization is only good in the, standard formulas and equations. But if derivation comes in, you will be confused. So that's why you have to analyze and you have to correlate the different formulas and equations. So, and the theories. Theories converted to numbers. Theories, when you mean the theories, that is statements and words. You can convert that to numbers and variables. And also reverse the numbers, the figures, and the variables, okay, or the quantities, you can convert that also in a statement. Okay? Ang statement, paragraph, sentences, those are theories and concepts. But the numbers, variables, those are formulas, okay, and equations to be used. Okay, you get the point. But these two will be a requirement in the scientific law. Scientific law? So, you need also to discuss this. Okay, scientific research, scientific method, scientific law, scientific theory, or scientific discovery. So this type of scientific, you should also know the difference. Scientific conclusion, scientific hypothesis. Okay? Nana siya sa science, ang format anak niya. So, in your scientific research. Okay? But it starts always with a scientific problem. So your scientific problem will reflect your scientific objectives because that is your purpose, to know the problem and to solve the problem. The contents will just a backup to solve your problems that declared in your objective. And then you will generalize that all in your scientific conclusion. But in the books, we never say na scientific, because it's already understood. Get the point? Kailangan sa scientific problem, scientific content, scientific hypothesis, scientific conclusion. Dahil sa paminaw. So, but to be honest with you, these are all scientific. Okay? Something like that. Okay? So that is scientific research. Mag-start good siya na. Okay? After your scientific research, you have a scientific discovery. Okay? And then after scientific discovery, you will use the scientific method. Okay? And after scientific method, you have start your scientific problem. And after scientific problem, you have the scientific objective, goals, and purpose. And then it should be backed up with scientific content. Okay? Before going to your scientific conclusion, you have your scientific hypothesis. Okay? Meaning the educated guess or assumption based on science and mathematics. So in here, you will need to gather a lot of data. And you will use a lot of inferences and observations to account the fact and the validity of your data. So the best example for this specifically is to go to the laboratory to have a testing and analysis. It's in there that you can prove your hypothesis will be okay, will be proven and tested to be correct or not, or else your hypothesis is not correct. That's why hypothesis is not really yet the conclusion. But all scientific research, naagyo na siya scientific hypothesis or assumptions. You get the point? Before having a new discovery. Okay? So the scientist should have this. Okay? Of course. That's why one quality of the scientist is to be observant. Because observation is part of the data gathering. And to be put in your content, and so that you can have an assumptions based on your data gathered. And after that, you can conclude that if you test that based on data statistics, mathematically or experimentally in the laboratory. You get the point? So in the laboratory, it's just to prove because you have already everything now in your data gathered. Okay? So meaning to say, you cannot have your scientific discovery if you will not be able to prove that in an experimental analysis or in a laboratory analysis. Right? That using an equipment, machine, tools like that, or any types of or methods of computation by using laboratory test analysis, something like that. Okay? Data statistics talaga siya. So, if that is the case, it should be factual because it is based on data and statistics and evidences. So, this is not opinionated. You get the point? It's not based on reasoning. It is really factual, meaning back up with technicalities. Okay, you cannot have your own reason that this is an because based on the opinion, it's not like that. Science is not like that. It's not based on opinion. Okay? Though it will be based also your common sense approach in your critical thinking, especially if you have wild imagination, because all scientists and engineers have wild imagination. Okay? Because we need to say, you're expanding your knowledge outside from the box. Okay, something like that. So that's really the good qualities and attitude of a scientist. And number one also to become observant in the surroundings around him. Ganon. Actually, guys, observations and inferences are related. Okay, but inferences really, when you observe, you always connect that with fact. You know, in the past, like that. But observation is mainly an observation that what you see in your eyes, not necessarily proven pa siya if it is fact or not. Okay, that's why you will have so many observations, and your observations may be wrong, may be correct, but still an observation. But an inference is not like that. An inference, you observe, at the same time, you try to connect that, how factual is that, and that is inference. But the act of doing that by using the eyes is just the same. Visualization through eyesight. Okay, you can never observe if you were just, listening and close your eyes. You have to open your eyes wide. Okay, you get the point. Ganun, or sometimes the sense of touching, the sense of smelling. Okay, what else? The sense of emotions or feelings. But secondary na siya. The first yun niya ang inyong eyes. Okay? Visualization. The sense of eyesight. Gano'n ba yun? Visual impact. Okay, get the point? Muna na siya, guys. Any questions so far in this discussion of electronic configuration in quantum mechanics and quantum chemistry? Any questions so far? Okay, like that. And this is also very useful, guys, in the theory of spectrophotometry process, laser technology, okay, light amplification, simulation, emission, radiation used in hospitals because it will be using a lot of emission, chuba, chucho of elementary particles. Okay? So, related regulations ang patong mga nuclear chemistry, electrotransmutation, gano'n, di ba? Okay, may mga mutation. If the biological virus has mutation, okay, elementary particles also has mutation. That is called transmutation. Okay, in nuclear chemistry. Get the point? So that's it. Okay, and nuclear chemistry applied most of the time radiation theory and quantum mechanics this one. Okay, related dito siya, guys. Okay, basta talking about of elementary particles, mga ganun, electrons, protons, neutrons, blah blah blah, so and so. Okay, photon. Photon sa light. Okay guys, if you like this video, you can subscribe my YT channel. You can like, comment, share, and click the notification bell for some news updates. See you channel. Bye bye. God bless everybody. Ang haba ng lecture ko, no? Nakakaloka. Okay. Nakakaloka. Diba?